and the tax calculation, Chair. Chair, although there's these marginal differences between our calculations for the trading cost and the profit component, the overall differences are less than 10%, Chair, and can be considered acceptable, Chair. Chair, our recommendations are on page 8 on paragraph 14. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ngobeni. Members, the submission is open for a discussion. Members, for your input. Ms. Mpongose, you may go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thanks, Tim, for the presentation. I'm happy with the application and the recommendations, and I do support them. What I just wanted to ascertain is what is the status? Do we grant, because this is a new entrant, and I see that their application came in September initially and had to be supplemented and came again in October last year. But they were applying for a period effective from 1 July 2023. How do we deal with that? Do we grant them condonation to operate in the interim? Have they been operating prior to their license being issued, or what is the status? How do we deal with that? And what is the ideal situation? Does it mean when we approve now, we will be approving with retrospectivity, or what does it actually mean? Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ms. Mpongose. Mr. Pukula.
Thank you, Chairperson. Apologies for the delay. Chairperson, I want to start with a table 2 on the NESA assessment 4.5. And I want to indicate that when you look at those values that are put in table 2, that maximum price is not the correct number. Forget the fact that it's off by 1 cent. And if you multiply the volumes, it would be 10,000 Rand that we are off by. For me, it's the principle. We can't have numbers on tables that we are going to put out there in the public that don't add up. You then leave that, Chairperson, you go to the table. In fact, where's, I think, sorry, Chairperson, I'm just trying to get what the table 3. You then look at the calculations that the applicant has done. They are correct. You come and look at the calculations that NESA has done. They are not correct, and yet we still come close to the same answer. I don't understand how this happens, Chairperson. Maybe it can be explained. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Pukula. Advocate Sithole.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thanks to the presenters or the presenter. Chair, mine it's just an issue of clarity based on procedure, and I think it may result in enhancing the document. Chair, under the executive summary, we seem to be giving an indication that I think executive summary is on page 3. It's not clear whether we did issue out a publication for public comments or not. And in the body of the submission, I didn't pick up any paragraph talking to what transpired in terms of the publication of the document, which I assume would have been done before this submission. But when you go to paragraph 13 as well on communication, I think it's page 7, it talks about having to publish the discussion documents. I believe this may be an error, because when we go to recommendations under 14.1.8, we talk about the publication of the decision and reasons for decision. So, Chair, as I said, it's an issue that requires clarity on procedure, and probably the responses from the team will assist in clarifying those or correcting them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Advocate Sithole. May you then respond, Tim, on the questions posed by the members, and get straight to the point in your responses.
Okay, thank you, Chair. in response to Madam Mpongos's comments, ma'am, the licensee is not as yet trading. However, when this tariff application is approved, we do not approve it retrospectively. So the tariff then will become effective from the date that the energy regulator approves the tariff application. So yes, the licensee was in a position to trade. However, they needed this tariff to be approved. So it will be approved, but not retrospectively. It will be approved going forward, and then they'll be able to be in a position to have a price, then to approach customers and then start trading in gas. Chair, we note the comments made by Mr. Pukula on table 2. I think we did experience some challenges with some rounding off issues on table 2 and table 3, and Chair, we will enhance this submission to reflect the differences in mostly rounding off issues and issues of adding properly the columns for especially for the NASA side of the calculation. I think okay, so
just on that, because your response is general. So if they are, especially because we are, even if then the final number is not going to change the decision that is required, but accuracy and thoroughness is important, especially because this was raised by the members of this subcommittee in the maximum price applications that we considered late last year. So you must, first of all, and I will allow Mr. Pugna to come in, you must, first of all, talk to the specific concern raised in respect of table 2, not to generalize what you are going to do. Please talk to that specific concern, how it arose, so that the root cause is dealt with, especially because now it seems this is repeating itself. It is the second time that then the members of this committee raised such concern. So please speak to the concern, how it happened, and in table 2 as well as in table 3. And before you do that, let me just allow Mr. Pukula to come in. Mr. Pukula?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I refuse to accept that the error that's there is a rounding off error, even in the first page. If you have 2 decimals, where are these other decimals? And if they are there, why are you hiding them from us then for us to be able to see that? And in table 3, show me how you get that rounding off error. If you are saying that's a rounding off error, show me how, when you calculate what the return is, you get the how did you get the rounding off error? Show me. Thank you, Chairperson. I'm frustrated, Chairperson, because we had said that, and even in the next submission, we are going to do the same thing. Why?
Thank you, Mr. Pukula. Mr. Ngomeni, is Mr. Ngomalo in the meeting, the executive manager? Because Ms. Makota is not here. Mr. Ngomalo, I'm not seeing you leading the team here and taking responsibility, same as what you did the whole of last year, of not taking responsibility for the work of the division. So please, may you also come in and assist the members of the team. Ms. Makota is not here today. She's on leave. So can I allow Mr. Kotora to assist here? And some of these things can be glaring, the issue that is raised by Mr. Pukula, because at the end of the day, when you get to the final figure for the maximum price, it is exactly the same, yet there are differences that are shown. Can you explain this and how it can be cured here? even if such differences are small, but it's important that we do things accurately. Mr. Kotora.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, would like to apologize, but I'll start with table 3, Chair, which is the trading cost calculation. Chair, the main challenge we sometimes do is not stating, for instance, where we have rounded off the figures. For instance, the work, Chair, is not 11.85% exactly. It is 11.848 and some other figures.
Can you also just keep in mind the confidentiality of the figures, especially with the work? Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I apologize for that. Especially if you check the work, the figure that would show in the table is the rounded off figure, Chair. When we then take it and paste it or bring it to the submission, ideally, I think for quality enhancement, we'll try to make sure we list especially numbers that cause a reader, if they are trying to see whether we have calculated correctly, to be able to independently verify our figures. We will put maybe the correct figure below the table so that it enhances the quality of our submission. Especially on this application, Chair, the main challenge was the work. I can see why we are also being instructed to enhance our quality, Chair. And it is an oversight on our part. When you make it a 2-decimal place, sometimes you are not thinking how the reader would be able to calculate or to see what would have done in the background. So we would apologize for this one, Chair. And for the work, we'll make sure we write the full work. And then in the table, even if we keep the summarized version, but we will also include the full work below the table to enhance the quality of the submission, Chair. I think my only comment is on this, only on this trading cost calculation, Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay, and that is just not the work alone where there are differences here. We need to see how other differences came about, especially the tax one. I will understand all the return there because it's affected by the work. But if you go to the tax component of the calculation, there is a slight difference there, and it is not shown how that came about, so that then we can be able to see these differences in the trading cost. But even those differences are not accounted then on the total trading cost figure. So if those can just be clarified, so that members can be able to see, but they should also not be repeated in any of these kind of calculations. Can you then go to the Mr. Pugula? Let me just check first before we go to the next one. Mr. Pugula, are you happy with the response from Mr. Kotora with regards to those slight differences that we see on the table, so that they can actually just show how those came about, but also be very careful in the way that they just show the sort of the differences, even if they are minimal, but then at the end, the figures are exactly the same without reflecting the differences. Are you happy with the proposal from Mr. Kotora?
Chair, I accept that this is an open meeting. At the end of the day, we are going to vote, or we are going to make a decision on this. So I wouldn't want to have a decision where it says one of the members was not happy, because then I'm not doing any good to the organization. But I do want us to talk about this, because even the explanation that Mr. Kotora is giving me when you are putting those numbers on the table, I think we use the same Excel, unless NASA uses a different Excel. I mean, why wouldn't you have the same on the customer side if that's a question of rounding off? I honestly don't understand how we make this and how we don't check. And yes, these are small numbers, but the issue is not the materiality of those, or it's not those that it's small differences. The issue is we're a regulator. We are supposed to provide information that is accurate. We are supposed to do things that provide confidence to the people who are consumers of the documents that we issue. And I really don't get it, but there's no point, Chairperson, in hopping on it right now. I think we need to deal with it internally.
Yes,
thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Pukula, for that. Yes, it's an issue to deal with internally, as you have indicated, but it is important that it be raised so that it can show that as the independent regulator members, you apply yourselves thoroughly to these matters before a decision is taken. So it is appreciated that such comments are made. Can we then deal with the other questions that are raised? The other questions that are raised by Advocate Sithole?
Yes, Chair. The application did follow the NASA process where it was published for public consultation. So I think they on section 13, it's supposed to read that we need to publish the reasons for decision for publication. So we'll we'll need to publish the reasons for decision and not the discussion documents. So that what needs to be corrected, Chair, on our side. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Ngobeni, where in the document does it show that the draft assessment was published, and what were the comments from the? If there were comments from the members of the public, can you show where in the document do you deal with the compulsory consultations as required in terms of section 10? Where do you show that it was done, and what are the? I think that's part of Ms. Advocate Sithole's question.
Chair, it's on page 27 on section 10 of the reasons for decision, where we highlight the public consultation process, and that there were no comments received regarding the consultation process period. On page 27 of the submission, under paragraph 10. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. And then you can also correct the reference to the publication of the draft document, because it will be the publication of the decision as well as the reasons for decision. You agree?
Noted, yes, Chair. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Mrs. Pongose.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just a follow-up from me on the question that I have asked. So what I want to find out then, in our approval, as per the recommendation, do we approve the effective date as 1 July 2023, or we approve it as of today after we've approved? Is that the effective date? That's just what I wanted to ascertain.
Chair, that is correct. The effective date is when the ER makes the decision on the tariff application. That will be the effective date of implementation. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so the July one will be, since this is they were trying to comply with the dates that were set by the energy regulator, that in terms of the new methodology, the date of implementation of that new methodology, and also to align with their financial year end. So the July part then will just be for a monitoring of compliance with the decision that will be taken by the energy regulator. to see if they overcharged or if, for instance, they will also have a shortfall, and then we'll see how we can deal with that. So it is for monitoring, if I may just add on that. Ms. Mbongose, do you have any follow up on that?
No, I don't, Chair. I did think that it possibly their financial year end. However,
Yes.
yeah, if it's only for us to monitor on an annual basis, yes, that is fine. But not necessarily it being the effective date, because that would have been a date before they applied. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Ngumal, which matter do you respond? Are you responding to?
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm struggling with the flu, but apologies for that, but hopefully members can hear me. I just wanted to confirm indeed that with regard to the period will be effective from the date on which the ER is going to take a decision, because that's the official date of the NESA decision on the matter. But then that decision becomes applicable until, and this is a caveat or a caption that we always put in each and every one of the submissions, to say that each decision will be valid until the such time that NESA then takes the next decision. Chairperson, I think I just wanted to clarify that, but with regard to the question that has been raised by Mr. Mbongose. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Mbongose. Members, I would like to then with the input from the members and just to make sure that the team will be thorough in terms of dealing with with those tables and just showing those differences properly for transparency purposes and for accuracy purposes, as well as just to deal with the errors that were pointed out by Ms. Advocate Sithole, and also check other errors in the document as well. Members, with that, are you then happy to recommend that this maximum price application by former gas be taken to the energy regulator for approval? That there's another error on paragraph 14 is not supposed to be Columbus stainless steel, supposed to be former gas. Application maximum price application for the period starting from 1st July 2023 until 30 June 2024, and also to approve the decision as well as reasons for decision as attached. By show of hands, members, if you agree with that recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Ms. Mbongose. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Thank you, Mr. Bukula. I also support. Thank you very much, members, for your support on this. Members, we now move on to the next the next submission for today's consideration. If you can just introduce the matter and take it as read and highlight the key issues that you would like the members to take into consideration.
A very good morning to you, Madam Chairperson, members of the PGS, executive managers, and fellow colleagues. Madam Chairperson, I'll take this submission as read. The submission before this committee really is a final assessment of Columbus Stainless application for maximum price of gas for the period of 1 July 2023 to 30 June 2024. The purpose of this submission is to request the PGS to recommend to the energy regulator to approve the Columbus maximum price application together with the decision for reason for decision attached as Annexure A. Madam Chairperson, the applicant is applying for the approval of a maximum price of 130.74 per gigajoule. I'd like to indicate to the members of the PGS to say that in this application, really there was no substantial issues that were picked up by the members in the previous PGS, except for the fact that Mr. Bukula and Mr. Gumede raised minor issues, and they requested the team to go back to revise the numbers for accuracy purposes, Madam Chairperson. And when you look at our page 4 and page 5, table 3 and 4. That has been corrected on this submission, Madam Chairperson. From the public consultation process point of view, Madam Chairperson, the energy regulator published a discussion document on this application in order to solicit public views, comment from the members of the public. Stakeholders were also invited to provide a written comment to the energy regulator to comment on these applications. I'd like to indicate to the members of the PGS to say that the energy regulator did not receive comments on these applications. No public hearing was held, Madam Chairperson, on this application, as the energy regulator did not receive any request for presentation at the public hearing. With that in mind, Madam Chairperson, I'd like to take the members to our recommendations, which are found on page 7, paragraph 14.1. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Any comments, members? Any suggestions for improvements? We also note the contribution and guidance provided by Mr. Pukula as well as Mr. Gumede. Any other input, members? By show of hands. Go ahead, Mr. Pukula. Thank you.
Chairperson, thank you. Mr. Malele points out that there were 2 tables that they had to go and correct. It's table 3 and table 4. I can confirm that table 3 has been rectified. But I just want Mr. Malele to go not to all of the other calculations. Let's start with the calculation or the application that was done by Columbus Steel. If we just look at the work, and if we just calculate the work with that, what has been corrected? Because those numbers are not correct. We then go even to the NASA ones. My frustration, Chairperson, is I don't understand what is happening, because the applicant would have had the numbers, so would have exactly the numbers that are in the applicant. So if the applicant has also done an incorrect calculation, that's for us to show that the applicant is calculated incorrectly. But for us, NASA, I seriously, Chairperson, and this is the one that we said it must be looked at, it must be done. It still comes back with that. So there's no point in us coming to this meeting and saying, let's correct this, let's correct that, if it's going to come back with the same thing. That, for me, is the frustration that I expressed in the first one. I don't understand. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me come in, Madam Chairperson.
Just hold on, Mr. Malele.
Okay.
I think we need to appreciate the frustration by the members, as I indicated in the previous submission, that the members did provide assistance and guidance to the team, that you look carefully at the spreadsheet, the Excel spreadsheet that you are using, so that you avoid this kind of mistakes, particularly when it comes to the calculation of the work, the way that you do it, and then you summarize it. So and also you're not showing us so that we can see where exactly does this come from, like the root cause of those differences, whether they are minor or not. But it's important that everybody can be able to see where they come from. But here we only record the final thing, not showing exactly where these things are coming from, the differences, because in the end, you record the same number without accounting for the discrepancies. Let me take Mr. Gumede, and then he will respond to all of the issues raised by the members. Mr. Gumede, please go ahead, sir.
Chairperson, I didn't think I was going to add, because I'm actually covered by Mr. Pukula, but I think just in case it comes across as just as his frustration. And I think, and just to be correct, I mean, he's not just raising it at PGS, he's concerned. It's the accuracy of how data is presented, and he's raised it a lot as well at ELS. But for me, I think the challenge here, and we really, Mr. Malele, and I did say, I think the last time, that to err is human, But it's really the problem is that if we come up with a justification, we just never look at what the underlying problem is. Because yes, when we input numbers, when we transcribe numbers and punch in numbers, we make errors. That's why in Excel, if these things are done in Excel, you simply just copy that paragraph, those things from Excel and paste them. And of course, you would have set all of the decimal spaces correctly, such that whatever comes up would be a calculation coming directly from Excel. Because just to point out the point that Mr. Pukula is raising, which we had raised the first time, there is no way you can add, if you add that item under RAB and add working capital, that when you add those two numbers, unless of course and of course you've taken out the depreciation. If you add that line under A and add that line under WC, there is no way. I mean, just by looking at that number, there is no way the answer that comes out would actually look. I actually can't say the numbers, but there is no way it can come out just by scanning it. So what we're saying is, we understand to err is human, but if we justify it, we'll never fix it. The idea here is by looking at those numbers do not make sense. And therefore, it raises then the question of whether the decision that is being made, can it be correct if some of the numbers, and this is the point that I think the ER chair has been struggling to put through to all of us, that, it's tables like this, like those particular one, if those first three numbers are incorrect, how do I trust anything else that then follows? I think that is the point. And all we're asking is that let's not justify it. Let's take it back. And actually, because this is a recommendation to ER, that let's fix those tables. Go take these things to Excel, calculate those numbers in Excel. Don't put them as text, put them as numbers. They will calculate the numbers, and that's it. And if there's an error made by the applicant, it will show. Flag it on the side as a note, and then talk to that note. That is all that is being asked for. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kumet. I think you've summarized it quite well. And I don't see any other explanation that you are going to provide there, Mr. Malele, because this is really guidance, and it is guidance that was provided previously, so that members are comfortable about the accuracy of the calculations, even if in the end we still take the figure that the applicant has applied for, and also because the differences are minimal. But it is important that we get things right, and you are also thorough. And I'm hoping that when the document, again, yes, there will be a quality assurance done at the HOD level and at the executive management level, and also come to myself. But it's important that these things are taken care of when they get to ER, because last time I had to pick them up when I was doing the checking. So it's something that you must make sure that it's not going to get to the ER the way that they are today. All right, members, with that and the corrections there to reflect the right sort of figures in terms of the differences, if there are any differences, are members happy then to or comfortable to then approve the maximum price, as there are no differences in terms of what the applicant has applied for, and the differences reflected do not seem to be substantial. Are members happy to then recommend to the energy regulator to approve the Columbus Stainless application for the maximum price starting from 1st July 2023 to 30 June 2024, and also to approve the decision and reasons for decision as attached in the submission? By show of hands, members.
Chair, can I raise a concern here that I personally I would be prepared to approve, but I mean only if there is assurance that the numbers would be changed. That I honestly, I would hate to then, when it comes to ER, as a member of the committee, because the numbers appear exactly the same as what was consent, I then have to vote no. And I think for me, yeah, so I would be happy to say this, subject to, honestly, by the time these numbers come through, that this time around, can they please be correct, honestly?
Thanks, Mr. Kumete. Yes, that's exactly what I summarized in the for the resolution, that when the matter is presented, they must make sure that all the numbers have been changed and the input directed by the members of the subcommittee are implemented and incorporated. So that is, if then it's not done, that is something else, because then it means it's failure to implement the directive and the resolution of the subcommittee. It's a different issue of the corporate governance that will have to be dealt with. So can members take comfort in that? And members, then, if you are comfortable with the decision to recommend, can members then raise their hands? Mr. Mkhize, are you supporting the recommendation? Thank you, Mr. Pukula.
I'm supporting the recommendation subject to the changes made, and with the understanding that with those changes, there won't be significant change or substantive change to such that this approval for this recommendation is invalidated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, Mr. Pukula, Ms. Mpongose, Mr. Kumete, and Advocate Sitole. I also support. Thank you very much, members, for that support. We then move on to the next agenda item, and the agenda item is just want to go to the page, the relevant page. If you can just introduce the next item and take it as read, please.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the submission before this committee, it's an update on the market risk premium and risk-free rate calculation for the period ended 31 December 2023. The purpose of this submission is to request the PGS to note these submissions. Madam Chairperson, the purpose and the significance of publishing the MRP and risk-free rate really is to address requests made by the stakeholders to say that in order to ensure consistency in the calculation of the risk-free rate and market risk premium, the energy regulator need to publish this document on a quarterly basis. Madam Chairperson, these are the two components that forms a part of the weighted average cost of capital calculations that goes into the trading cost calculations. And one thing that I've realized, especially on the issues that were raised by Mr. Pukula on the aspect of the work, when applications is presented to the energy regulator, when we assess the application, we can already see where the problem lies with the applications that are submitted by licensee, because they fail to make the use of this document that we publish on a quarterly basis. And the issue lies with the MRP and the risk-free rate. From NERSA side, you find that we do the work very clean, because we have these numbers that is published on our website for licensee to really use these numbers. But you find that licensee, they pick up numbers that we don't even know where they pull those numbers from, and then they plug on their applications. That's where we find ourselves today with the issue of there's a difference between NERSA and the applicants on the issue of the weighted average cost of capital calculation. So my plea to the public licensee traders, please make the use of this document that we publish on our website on a quarterly basis, because we don't want a situation whereby we have a back and forth where we send back the applicants where they need to rectify the component that fits in the weighted average cost of capital calculation. So, Madam Chairperson, I would like to draw the committee to focus on paragraph 4.11, where we show the MRP declined by negative 0.05% and the risk-free rate weakened by negative 0.01% from 30 September 2023 to 31 December 2023. Madam Chairperson, with that in mind, our recommendations are found on page 6 of 21, paragraph 14.1. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. You can't be directing the licensees at this platform. You have to do your work and see how you reach out to licensees to make sure that licensees understand the significance of this calculation, and also at the time when they prepare their applications, that they understand exactly what data to input on their application. So it is your task, not the task that must be conveyed through the committee in your presentation. With that said, members, any input from your side with regards to the calculation? And the calculation is just meant to assist licensees in terms of preparing tariff applications as well as maximum price applications. By show of hands, members, if you have any input on this one. If members are happy, then with Mr. Pukula, please go ahead.
Chairperson, I also would want my spreadsheet to be checked on this one, but I have taken samples of some of these numbers, and in particular, the one for February 21 on this. And somehow, I mean, because I didn't have the confidence in the spreadsheet that was being used, which is what Mr. Gumede had mentioned, that once you don't have confidence in one simple thing, how do you then have confidence in the others? I am not sure that I got that right, but I in this one, Chairperson, I want to say that I will also go back and check my own spreadsheet and look at. But I do want to implore those who are using it. If you just look at the February 21 line, because that's one of those. Maybe I've got the wrong numbers in, but it can be confirmed. But this is a result of not having the confidence in this. The second thing is on this table. I think when it is going to be transcending a number of pages, it's good to keep the heading so that you are always aware of what numbers or what is the number you're looking at. And that's really the enhancement I would propose, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Pukula. But Mr. Pukula, obviously that will be taken into account. And can I just check then if you support also just subject to that verification of the February number and also putting the right headings so that one that reads the document can be comfortable in terms of what figures have been considered.
Yes, Chair, I will support that it gets noted and that yes. We check that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pukula. Members, if there are no other comments and subject to the two issues Mr. Pukula raised, which are important in terms of the calculation that has been done, to verify and confirm, and that will be confirmed with all of the members of the PGS following this. So are members then happy to note the calculation and Annexure A with the update of these calculations and the figures subject to the verification as indicated? By show of hands, members. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Pukula. I support. Thank you, Advocate Stole. Thank you, Ms. Mpungose. Mr. Gumede, are you happy to also support? Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Thank you very much, members, for the support on this submission. Can we now move on, members, to item number 8, which is the report on the monitoring of Evers, Highveld Steel and Vanadium Limited compliance with the maximum price for the previous period, July 2022 until June 2023. Is that the lingering hand, Mr. Pukula?
Apologies, Chair. Yes, it is.
All right. Thank you very much. May you please then, Tim, introduce this submission, highlighting any significant issues arising from the monitoring of compliance for this licensee?
Thank you, Chair. Hope I'm audible. I'll take the submission as read. This is an annual monitoring report for Everest Highveld Steel and Vanadium, where we monitor the compliance with in relation to Section 211P and Section 2 of the Gas Act. The purpose of the submission itself, Chair, is for the subcommittee to note that Everest has complied with Section 211P by charging its customers an actual price which is below the approved maximum price. Together with that, they've also complied with Section 22 of the Gas Act, as they didn't unduly discriminate between its customers over the period. Chair, just for, I think I'd like to take members to Table 3 with which shows Everest's compliance with Section 211P, where they charged below the approved maximum price over this period. Also, with regards to Section 22, Table 4 demonstrates that they also were in compliant with Section 22 of the Gas Act, given that the drivers for the discriminatory was the volumes together with the contract lengths of the supply agreements. I think, Chair, with that, I'll take members to section to the recommendations on number 4. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, members. Any questions, comments, and suggestions on this submission? By show of hands, members, if you have any. Okay, if not, members, I would like to take you to the recommendations, but before that, I just want to emphasize that the team just remember to highlight the confidential information, particularly when it comes to paragraph 4 there. If you could kindly do that. Mr. Mkhize, is that the question, comment?
Yes.
You can go ahead.
Yes, Person. I would just like to check here if when we're talking of a total charge, do we include, shouldn't it be rands per gigajoules, the actual price charge? Because it's not indicated as such in the third column, unlike in the approved price, which is the fourth column. Thank you.
Yes, it is rands per gigajoule, Mr. Mkhize, per annum. That will be the unit of measure there. It will be rands per gigajoule. If you can also just remember to do that, Mr. Njezula, to check the table and make sure that you reflect it as such. All right, members, I would like to take you to the recommendations. The recommendations are on paragraph 14. The subcommittee is requested to note that Everest complied with Section 211P as well as Section 22 of the Gas Act. By show of hands, members, if you are happy to note. Thank you, Mr. Kumete. Thank you, Mr. Pukula. Thank you, Advocate Stole. Mr. Mkhize, thank you. Madam Bongosa, thank you so much. I also support, members. Thank you so much, members, for the support. I would like to then go to the next item. And the next item is the ROMCO GTA1 tariff calculation for the period 1st October 2023 until 31st December 2023.
Thanks, Chair. This is a quarterly report that we do to monitor ROMCO's GTA1 tariff in line with the agreement, the pipeline agreement. Chair, the purpose is to request the subcommittee to note the ROMCO tariff that was applied during this period. I must also state to the committee that given the APP target, the submission itself had to come to the subcommittee before conclusions of talks with the licensee itself. So when you go to taking the members to table 3, you'll see there that our analysis showed that there was a 0.1 difference between our calculations and also 0.01 difference between our calculations and the licensee. And we have flagged it with the licensee. And before the report, by the time the report was concluded, they didn't come back to us as to what might have caused that. And we felt that also from a rounding off, it couldn't have been a rounding off difference because we have rounded up. So the next submission will encompass the detailed report as to what the difference was. But preliminary, there's an over recovery of the amount that is there at the bottom in table 3. And then what the report also states is the price to be charged over the next period, given the PPI. The percentage increase is 2.45. That is predicted for the next period. I think with that, Chair, I'll take members to the recommendations, which are on 14, number 14. Thanks.
Thank you very much, members. Any questions on the calculation done? And you'll recall that this calculation is done in line with the prescribed formula that is in the agreement, and the tariff itself is adjusted using the inflation, the PPI. So the change here will be reflective of that change in the PPI. Any questions, members, by show of hands? If none, I would like members then to note the calculation for the tariff for ROMCO, the GTA1 tariff, which is the tariff for the cross-border pipeline from Demane up to Secunda. By show of hands, members. Thank you, Mr. Kumete. Thank you, Madam Pongose. Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Thank you, Mr. Pugula. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. I also support it. Thank you very much, members. Members, we now move on to item number 10 of the agenda, which is the volume balance report for the month of December 2023. May you please introduce the submission?
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning. The purpose of the submission is to request Pipe Gas Subcommittee to note total gas volume balance report for the month of December 2023. And the expected monthly volume in South African markets in terms of GTA1, GTA2, and 3 is about 18.4 million gigajoules. And when factoring the volumes from other two importers, Kwande Gas and South Africa, it becomes 13.6 million gigajoules per month. During the December 2023, Sasol Gas imported approximately 13.8 million gigajoules to the South African market. The imported volume is at the expected 13.6 million gigajoules monthly volumes required to meet the expected 163.3 million gigajoules annual gas volume in terms of GTAs and GSA of the importers. The percentage variance for December 2023 was a negative 1.42%, which is within acceptable limit of the agreed international benchmark of 1%. Chairperson, is it therefore recommended that the pipe case to note the monthly report for December 2023. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, the volumes that are brought by, imported by Sasol to South Africa are here for your consideration, and those are volumes that were delivered in Secunda in December 2023. Any comments, members? If there are no comments, members, Mr. Pugula, please go ahead.
Chair, I may have missed the change in the percentage variance allowance. I thought it was supposed to be plus minus 1%. Can I just be updated on that change, Chairperson?
Yes, Mr. Maluka and Mr. Milado, may you please clarify the variance amount?
The amount, Chair, is 1%, but negative 1.42 is not close. It is a matter that has been raised in the past. I think Mr. McKees raised this and said, no, it's not within the negative. It's not within the acceptable international benchmark. It is an ongoing study that the licensee is still working on. So the negative currently is not within the acceptable international benchmark. I think I'll end up there. Thank you.
No, be very clear in what you are saying here, and so that you can provide an adequate response to the issue raised by Mr. Pugula, please. But before that, and I will also expect the executive manager to also come in these matters and assist the junior staff. I also expect the HOD to also come in here. Mr. Kumede?
Chair, can I just ask, I wasn't intended to ask this, but it always confuses me. If we look at that number, the minus 1.42%, how does it relate to 14.14? To paragraph 14.14, the number that appears 0.64?
Thank you, Mr. Kumete. May we get a response?
14.14, Chair, I think it's a typo there. I think it needs to be fixed, but it is exactly negative 0.146. I think there's 0.64. It's not supposed to be there. It's a typo on it. Thank you.
Can we get an adequate response from the question that was raised by Mr. Pugula?
Yes, Chair. On that one, I think Mr. Maloka addressed that matter, Chair. As it was raised before, we're looking at a variance, and we said it's 1%. So meaning that the acceptable variance, Chair, should be 1% plus any values. So anything below minus 1%. As it was said, is not the expected variance, because your negative variance will mean that there is more gas in the system, whereas in actual fact there is no gas. So I think when this matter was discussed, Chair, we indicated that we expect the variance to be a 1+%. So anything that is minus 1% is not expected. And we indicated in the meeting that we've raised this issue with Sasol Gas, and they have been looking into the system, Chair, to check the integrity of the system in as far as the volumes, gas losses into the system, as well as variance, Chair. It is just work in progress, Chair. As you know, we've been here before on this matter, and we still continuing, Chair, engaging Sasol so that we look into the system and the way it should function to the expectations of the energy regulator, Chair. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Milatu, on paragraph 14, that variance of minus 1.42, is that now an acceptable one? Since Mr. Maluka said it's within the acceptable international benchmark. Can you clarify that with regards to the clarification you've just provided? And before you do that, let me see if Mr. Pukula has a point that you may also cover in your response. Mr. Pukula, may you please go ahead, sir?
Thank you, Chair. You've covered me because I think the presenters said that this is an acceptable variance, and I think Mr. Gumede also was talking about the 14.14. And in my roundabout way, I was saying that this submission is not acceptable to me because it talks about things that are not within what we have agreed as standard. Minus 1.42 is outside of what is acceptable, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pukula. Mr. Mkize, and then Mr. Milatu, you can then come in with regards to those figures that you have on 14.1.4, as well as the table 3 that you have under 14.1.5, please, for clarification, given what you've already said. Mr. Mkize?
Chairperson, I note the report, and I think that from my side, I will look at it from the point of dealing with matters in the governance section of the meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Milatu.
Yes, Chair. I think Mr. Maruka explained that the 14.14 is a typo, Chair. I think this was when I think he worked on the previous report where it was 0.06 and he didn't change it. It's a typo, Chair. And the assertion that the variance meets the acceptable benchmark, Chair, is not true. It does not meet because it is a negative variance, Chair. The acceptable or expected variance percentage should be 1% plus, Chair. And even that 1%, Chair, it should not even exceed the 1% to 2 or 3%, Chair. Thanks, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. We will delete, members, with your permission, we'll delete 14.1.4 there. So that we then consider a minus 1.42%, members, as part of the recommendations, and it's therefore not within the standard that was adopted, which is in line with the international standard. So we will also make sure that there's a change, or the team must make sure that they change paragraph 6.20.12, if you can make those changes. So remember, with those 2 changes, and also making sure that there's engagement with Sasol with regards to the challenges in the system, and also making sure that the team minimize some of these errors. Yes, errors may be there, but they must minimize and not just do the copy and paste and retain things that should not be retained in the document. And I think that needs thoroughness. With that, members, may you please then raise your hands to note the table 3 there with that variance that is shown there, and also to note the monthly volumes that were delivered by Sasol in the month of December, and that the ROMCO pipeline delivered those figures during that month. It's not Sasol ROMCO, but it's the Sasol one. If members can raise their hands to note the gas volumes that were then delivered through the ROMCO pipeline by Sasol from Temane to Secunda for December 2023. That should be what is reflected. By show of hands, members. Thank you, Madam Powers. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. I also support the noting. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Are you happy to note Mr. Pukula and Mr. Kumede?
Chair, I would rather abstain on this one. I'd really like to, I would have preferred that the changes be made and then we actually note. But yeah, I don't know.
The two changes, the page that Mr. Kumede I proposed is the deletion of 14.14. If you look at 14.1, it states clearly that the subcommittee is requested to note is what is contained in table 3 below, which is that negative figure, and it was then clarified that it was just a human error to then reflect 0.64. And I said that line or paragraph must therefore be deleted. Mr. Pukula, are you happy to note?
Chair, I didn't want to delay your meeting. I thought that abstaining would be fine because there are things I didn't understand. For instance, we're talking about that what was delivered was 13.6. But in the one above, we're talking about 13.8. So I thought that my lack of understanding in what is recommended there, coupled with what the gentleman who presented, I apologize, I forgot your name. The gentleman who presented with Mr. Mulato had mentioned other things that I was not aligned with. But I think for it to be noted, Chairperson, you have enough members. I would prefer not to.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pukula. So we'll therefore note the Mr. Pukula and Mr. Kumede's abstainment on this matter. All right, members, this is the last report or submission that we had to deliberate on in an open meeting. I would like to then close the meeting at this point in time.
Colleagues, I'm not sure if I'm the only one who lost the chairperson.
Yeah, we lost her, sir.
You're not the only one, Mr. Pukula. I think we can't hear her.
May I propose, Mr. Mkhize, once we get either we suspend the meeting because at least the members of the public are not there, or if we think we should continue in case she can't get back, we nominate a chairperson, and you know where my finger would want to point towards, and I'm sure Deputy Chairperson, you will support me, Mr. Mkhize.
Supported.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Kumede.
Okay, without any delay, because we need to run with this meeting. Let's then